Death is the ultimate call to surrender. We have a great opportunity while we are alive to practice softening into change and letting go when we find ourselves holding on and resisting. We become more skilled in our capacity to release emotions and attachments that no longer serve us. When we loosen our grip, we can relax and soften into love, kindness, and compassion. Life promises us transformation and change. The natural world shows us the preciousness of new life in the spring, the abundance of life in summer, and the falling away and return to the earth that has its own beauty in the fall. In preparation for a new beginning, we move into winter, where we are urged to go within, hibernate, and experience the longer and darker days that support learning and integrating what we have experienced from the previous cycle. As human beings, we are part of these cycles. Nature reminds us of her power and unpredictability through cataclysmic events. The events and losses we experience as human beings parallel the natural world. Our daily lives and the world around us give us limitless opportunities to practice acceptance and allowing space for expansion and the fullness of what is available to us in the present moment.
Acceptance is a subject that I keep returning to because it's so foundational for coming to peace. And the acceptance of our eventual death helps us to be present to our life right now, to whatever's going on. And conversely, the avoidance of even thinking about our eventual death can be seen as a way to extend our lifespan by some. Some people feel that by even bringing to mind the thought that someday we'll die, that actually hastens our demise, that quickens the process. It's almost like a bacteria will pick up if we think about that and will quickly succumb to, as they say, morbid thoughts. And yet, isn't it interesting that people on a spiritual journey throughout the ages, and even presently, the Dalai Lama, for instance, meditates upon dying every day as a part of his spiritual practice. Those who are monks, whether Christian or Buddhist or Hindu or any tradition, know that the contemplation of death or of dying is a powerful doorway to spiritual awareness, to a deeper understanding of who we are while we're here, walking and breathing and sharing our love with each other. So Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, in her stages of grief, she has that last stage be acceptance. So going through these different stages and coming finally to acceptance. And what I remind myself, and I always suggest to others, is if eventually and ultimately our purpose and our pathway is to come to acceptance of our eventual dying, what happens if we don't wait? What happens if we can come to that now? What does that do in terms of our sense of peacefulness with our life? And in fact, what does that do in terms of how we deal with the little frustrations of our daily life, those things which can shake us from our peace every day? I always like to look at it as, is this big enough to warrant selling my peace for, or giving up my peace for? Is this thing big enough to sell my peace away? And I'm not saying that I'm free of getting upset. I find that one thing that can really help me when I need to feel an anger rush is go out on a highway. Particularly I live now in Europe and in Zurich, the very aggressive drivers, and that can stir me up. And it happens so quick that I often don't have time for that quick remembrance of, hey, just come into the acceptance right now. But because I've trained my mind to remember, it allows me to come back pretty quickly. And that's what we all can do. Is it's not about never getting upset, but it is about how long do we want to stay there before coming back to the acceptance of what is really the possibility for this moment and for our life that eventually will end for all of us in leaving this world, in dying.
Softening really helps us define the difference between pain and suffering. I think that most people are suffering most of the time. People are scared, and we've been given more and more reason to be afraid. The evening news is a horror show. Softening, letting go, so that you're just a presence in the room, receiving, hearing your own intuition, sensing its appropriateness, and playing, even in suffering, as Andrea is talking about. Even in suffering, open to the play, to the Leela of the cosmos.